Give me 30 seconds and we'll start.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Batteries run out in 45.
So I'm Milind. I currently, as of today, I work in Siemens Healthcare. We are part of the Siemens umbrella, I guess. For the past 5 years, I've been working on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Before the pandemic, I was director of engineering. But I guess I was always fascinated by AI, and I grew up watching Terminator movies. So this was my midlife crisis or something. But I thought I need to learn this. I got this heavy book to learn about AI. I put a note here. You can see.
Sure.
The only reason I'm showing this book is don't buy this book. Because the treatment was very academic, so I'm hiding the names. I don't want to give anybody bad rap or something. But it was a very academic treatment. I really feel AI is a much simpler topic to teach and learn.
Okay.
And I've been on a mission for the past few years now, 5 years, to evangelize AI. Fight for a couple of patents in AI and machine learning. I've written various articles. I've been, as we met, president at healthcare conferences. Yes.
Yeah, our listeners don't have attention spans that long.
I told them to go 45 minutes.
This is the TikTok generation.
Yeah,
But,
so they can handle about 2 sentences.
Do me a favor. Pull your camera down just a little bit so we get a little bit of your headshot. There we go. Perfect. A little more headspace. A little more. Perfect.
So let's just dig right into it. Milind, using sort of the conventional notions of what AI, not the notions in that book you have, but people now talk about AI on the one hand and ML and machine learning on the other hand. I've come to believe they are now currently used to apply to 2 different sort of segments of the industry. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But in 30 seconds, TikTok timing, what's the difference between ML and AI when people use those phrases? Colloquially? Is that the, or? Colloquially.
So machine learning really is a subset of AI. AI is a thought or an idea to train a machine to do something, right? You train something. And machine learning is a means to achieve that objective. So think of AI as an objective, and machine learning is a means to achieve that objective. In a classical sense, it's a Venn diagram where AI is a superset and machine learning is a subset.
Okay, that's not the answer we were looking for, though. I'm looking for the answer that justifies what I have told Jeff, so he doesn't think I'm a complete idiot.
I'm going to need you to read his mind before you answer the next question.
Right, you have to know the answer before you...
I forgot to read the mind ahead.
That's okay. We'll send you one.
Just quickly.
He's negligently intelligent.
So here's my sense, which is that I agree completely with what you just said, on the one hand. On the other hand, I feel like AI is getting thrown around in the press these days, more referring to what ChatGPT is up to, even though that itself is a separate sub-discipline. And that ML is still traditional ML.
Wouldn't you consider AI as the product category?
It is. I'm just saying the way it's used in the news.
The news is always wrong.
Oh, I know, but...
About technology in particular.
I know, but maybe somebody reads the news who watches it. Nobody watches it.
Nobody reads it. Nobody reads.
Your answer's great. Don't worry about it.
We just doubled our readership or our viewership.
Why? Because Melinda's going to watch it?
Because Melinda's going to watch it.
Oh,
exactly. So
we tripled.
Oh, Ben. Well, Ben won't watch it. He's got sense.
We're up 40%.
Melinda, do you promise to watch this so we at least have one viewer?
I will. My wife and kids.
And the wife and kids.
3 views because I'll have my wife and kids watch it also.
Hot diggity dog.
Well, they may fire you after this.
Here's the thing. One of the things that I'm concerned about with AI, just to kind of throw a wrench in there, is doesn't seem to be too confidential. Like if I ask something of ChatGPT,
you walked into the trap.
I did some work the other day, and I was like, all right, well, help me make sense of this. If I was going to do something like this and this and this,
you don't want to check on personal body issues.
Yeah, no. So by the time
you're training, it's difference between training a public model.
Oh yeah.
And
I totally
enterprise model.
I totally get it. So
he's going to push for
on the public model, I'm signed in on my Google, right? So now it knows where it came from, who's written it up. And by the time I pick up my phone and go on Instagram to check my feed, I'm now being advertised in the topic that I was literally just researching using ChatGPT to write me.
Don't flatter yourself.
No, I'm telling you, immediately. So I was looking up CGMs and non-invasive glucose monitors and things like that, and write me a plan to do X, Y, and Z. And by the time I picked up my phone, 30 seconds later,
You sure?
I had 10 different companies advertising
Yes,
CGMs. to me.
yeah, okay, I get it.
So unrelated, not verbally.
What do you want Malin to tell you about your foibles?
Is there a problem where a publicly facing chatbot is then in our homes, in our lives, in everything that we have? Are we training it with nonsense by listening to my garbage and then listening to Mark's stuff and listening to
Better
Dave's
than
stuff?
seeing your garbage.
It's true, but then it's kind of garbage in, garbage out,
Tie
right?
that into the $6,000 toilets we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we were just down in the Kohler store downstairs in Ann Sachs, and we're looking at the toilets down there, and there's Internet of Things and connectivity to these devices, but is my toilet in the future going to be advertising to me?
Those are two different issues. One's not an AI question, I don't think. And the
I
other
don't think it is. It's
So
not
let's let
privacy.
Melinda answer the first.
Fine.
Go ahead.
Melinda,
Did you see a question? Hear a question?
is anything we do in ChatGPT or in these publicly facing models being used by Google nefariously to take over our homes and our sleep?
No, so first of all, let's clarify a couple of things, right?
Yep.
I like what you said. It's all garbage in, garbage out. The reason why you are getting such good performance from, say, ChatGPT is because it was trained on quality data from Wikipedia, right?
Yep.
So, of course, you're going to feed, if you feed Instagram post and Facebook post, you're going to get garbage. So the accuracy and the authenticity of the response from any ChatGPT or any chat box is really dependent on what that model was trained on. That's number one.
Right.
Regarding your other question, whether all your garbage and stuff is going to get into a machine learning model, I don't think so, because training machine learning, deep learning models and large language models takes a lot of effort and money, right?
Yep.
So nobody's going to waste their millions of dollars on training an algorithm that nobody will care for.
Got it.
Right.
Now,
so there has to be some commercial value.
Now, there's also like the free model of ChatGPT, I believe, is limited to a certain subset of the internet, meaning it's only current up until like 2020, and then the paid for version is live on the internet now, right? So, what are the benefits of having a closed AI model where it's limited to its history, and also having an open AI model where it's looking at everything out there right now and then using that to generate
Do you have the
response?
sense that Jeff was prepared for this podcast?
He's got a last.
These are personal problems.
Oh, I see.
So first we need to clarify and make sure we are using the terms correctly. I think we are using the term AI when we really mean generative AI. Generative AI is really a subset of AI. So let's first separate that.
Okay.
As far as generative AI is concerned, right? Now you talked about large language models, right? They are always a closed system. It's just that the free version of ChatGPT was closed 2020, and maybe a newer version is closed more recently. But we need to differentiate between ChatGPT and Google. Google will always give you the latest information, right? Because it is not, Google engine is not trained. Of course, they are going to integrate AI and generative AI.
Yep.
But the difference I think we need to appreciate is that any large language model is always limited by the training that it is done. Google for a search engine is always looking for latest information. So any large language model is always closed with one single caveat. Now they're doing something called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. Now what does that mean? If you have, say, new information from your organization, right? Training a large language model is very expensive. So what we do is we take this hybrid approach where we use the language ability of a large language model and then simply augment extra information which is specific to your domain or your company. And then we have some intermediate layer which does like a vector search, meaning it searches the information that you have provided, extra information.
Yep.
And then it uses the language ability of the LLM and tries to put it in a response and makes you feel as if your information was used for training, but it is not trained. It's just making some smart references.
Got it. Okay. That
Why
makes sense.
is it not possible to, I understand seeding the model for, say, ChatGPT with training data that humans have poured over and curated. I get that. Why is it not possible to train even publicly available models in real time? Why is it not possible to train them in real time, given the base of knowledge they now already have? What's the fundamental holdup?
So it is not, the holdup is not in terms of a rule or anything. Just so essentially what happens is when you train a model is think of it as a complicated web of memory locations and weights some parameters, right? For example, ChatGPT has billion parameters. So when we train the large language model, essentially we are identifying the values of those random parameters, those billions of parameters, right? So it is not like we are restricted. It's just that if you have to retrain that, you're going to go through that entire effort of feeding that information and then reconfiguring those parameters with the new information that you provided. So the limitation is not on the availability of information. The limitation is on the cost in retraining a model.
So wait a minute. So is it a cost? Is that cost? Are you talking about the cost involved in? Is that called backpropagation or no?
No.
Okay. Is that
the cost?
Yeah.
I'll come to backpropagation in a minute.
So
but the cost is referring to this GPU and the power usage and the resources that are consumed in training a large language model. That's what I mean by it.
Okay, so, and you don't mean the cost in terms of human cost, but you mean in terms of power consumption and processor resources.
Absolutely.
That's a thing.
So how much power would it take how much additional power, say the current, say ChatGPT or whatever Google is running, but let's say ChatGPT uses what we'll say is 1 unit of power, which is roughly equal to the output of the sun over 10 years. If you were to make it trainable in real time, would you need 2 powers of 2 suns, or would you need like a black hole of 1,000,000 suns?
Where did you just end up?
So
I went
I do
pretty
not
far.
have the information in terms of wattage.
He understood it.
Oh, he gets it.
But what I believe is we can convert that into a dollar amount, and then my understanding is that, of course, some of this information is not public because it's a private company, right?
Nobody watches this podcast. It's okay.
It's completely top secret at this point.
Nobody watches it. They have much better sense than that. Only you and your family.
It's space power and cooling.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah, but I want the number. I want the number.
It depends where you're hosting. Depends where. I mean, I know you wanted.
Well, give us a number.
It
2 suns or 1,000,000,000 suns?
It depends.
Well, that's not an answer. Well, give me an example.
I'll give you an example.
Melinda knows something.
I'll give you a real world example. So,
Melinda, you thought you were going to get to talk on this.
You're
not correct.
You're familiar with Bitcoin mining, right? So that's more on the blockchain side of things, right?
Blockchain.
So here's something that I didn't understand before yesterday. I read an article Monday night or Tuesday night. And it was a pretty scary article. I was familiar with data farms and how much energy they consume, and AI is a big part of that, and it's using an infinite amount of energy, just churning through it, right? But what about Bitcoin mining farms, right? And so there was an example of a community in Texas that had recently had a gas plant, and there were no health issues until the gas plant invited a Bitcoin mine to co-locate on their property. Right. And as soon as they set up those fans to cool down their computers, they had hundreds of computers in these big containers, and as soon as they flipped on the switch, people got nausea, cardiovascular problems. The decibels cranking off of this farm were 70 to 90 decibels. People were getting vertigo. The doctor's offices had lines out the door, and everybody in the community was sick.
This sounds like a conspiracy theory. But
no, it's not. It's not. This is a real thing. But before now,
does your dad read the National Enquirer?
Before now, all of these farms were in remote places. Are we going to have data farms and AI farms in our backyard to power this obsession we're going to have with ML and AI in the near future that it's going to affect all of our health?
Well, Melinda's a savant, so he'll be able to tell us.
So I do not think that's going to happen, right? So this might be NVIDIA trying to sell chips. So they're trying to create,
possibly.
So they're trying to create this hype that that's what everything is going to happen in the AI world. I don't think so. So if you hear, there are other approaches to AI. Like for example, if you listen to Yan LeCun, he's the chief AI officer of Meta. He's a professor, university professor.
He was a guest here last week.
Yeah, he was on the show last week.
He was on the show last week.
Oh, Yan LeCun was on the show?
Well, we had a picture of him from the magazine and we posted it up there and we kind of talked.
Did you tell
we
him
threw our voices.
I did. I apologize in advance for David, right?
You thought this was
just a general disclosure.
He believed us.
Yeah. No, but I'm telling you, this is about as good as his behavior is. This is him on his best behavior.
You have provided more factual information than we've had in 81 episodes.
So,
it's too much.
Or 3 or 4, because this is subsegment of a subsegment of.
He's answering.
So-
We're listening.
So I guess I just have to cut you guys and keep jumping in. Just
Please don't hesitate.
Don't mind us.
No.
In fact, we can leave the room. It might improve matters.
You'll be losing your job after this anyway.
No,
so it doesn't
it's
matter. Keep going.
Go on.
So I was saying, so he has a different approach. He's saying generative AI is not really the answer. He has a different architecture, which we could achieve the same results in more efficiency. So I'm not a proponent that everything is to be generative AI. We need all these resources for training and all that.
Sure.
That is only because of the current generative AI uses a certain approach.
Got it.
Tomorrow we may have a new model with a completely different architecture that does not require so much of training resources.
Got it.
So I would say this is like AI is a moving target. We cannot say this is what we're going to get. 6 months from now, nobody can tell what is this new model will be completely different from what we see.
You know who can tell is all we have to do is what's the name of that new stock market thing? There's a new fund where you watch what the Congress people are.
Oh yeah. It's like leader stock or something.
Yeah, leader stock. You know that one, Ben?
Well, I mean, there's one just called subversive whales.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is Nancy Pelosi invested in? What is
Melinda, if we go watch what the congressmen and congresswomen are investing in, will we actually know what the companies are that are doing this?
Yeah.
Pardon me.
I don't know. See, I'll be very honest. If somebody tells you that they know what is going to happen in AI in the next 6 months, they're just lying or guessing.
Full of crap.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll jump into that. I'll jump in front of that. I'm never afraid.
There's a bidet downstairs.
This is true. I'm never afraid to wade into that. So here's another example. And Ben, you shared this with me the other day. So in the metaverse, and when we get
You're gonna have to summarize this podcast at the end.
Yeah.
So let's say we put on a headset, right? And before the rendering of that image, whatever's in front of us is constantly changing, and there's lots of information, very high throughput of data, right? In the future, explain what just came out this last week, right? So this was kind of foundational of using less data to produce a similar experience in 3 dimensions. Go.
That was called Gaussian.
Look into the camera here.
Yeah. Okay. So that was called Gaussian splatting. It was actually pretty.
Check, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, go.
It's pretty intense. So there used to be this really popular thing. I'm pretty sure people still do it all the time. But you grab like a phone you grab an app on your phone and you just scan basically a 3D image of the model.
Let's say it's LiDAR.
Yeah, it's LiDAR basically. Except what Gaussian splatting is, there's a lot of really obnoxious math that I haven't bothered looking into. But
Melinda knows it.
Yeah. I'd love to hear more about it. It's
Right,
scary.
summarize.
I'm learning now, so
It produces basically a 2D image of what was originally 3D data of all different aspects of that. It flattens it.
Ben, you couldn't have said it that.
And in flattening it,
Isn't that a problem with
Am I
living with this
wrong?
guy?
No, you are.
Yeah,
You are.
So
Every
it
time he
flattens
cuts
it.
you off and he finishes,
He
it's
has
like
to
my
say
wife
you're
and my
right because
kids.
yours is wrong.
Well, I'm trying to.
I have to. I'm
I'm gonna have a drink. He could be.
We're
the
going to bring out
guest,
some
right?
family problems.
So,
Yeah.
but what it does is it flattens it. It takes out a lot of that excess data that didn't need to be
But
there,
that's a classic codec.
and then but then gives you. But it's
Who
it's
knew you
Gaussian.
used that word?
It's Gaussian what?
Gaussian splatting.
Spotting.
Splatting.
Spotting.
I mean, it literally is just taking like samples of
That's
the
even
image.
that's what this
pretty
is.
close.
That's what video conferencing, because I came out of that industry.
This,
110
well, we all
years
might
ago.
be, right? We might be in a black hole right
but
now.
it's
It's like
but-
Gaussian
No,
splot.
but the
of what
codec
actually
just
happened.
takes. In order to transmit enough stuff through a small pipe, it's not resending. It's not rebuilding that whole screen that
You
we're
mean
looking
you're
at.
not
It's
actually in the
flat.
same room as him?
You shouldn't have mentioned
So
black
wait,
holes
wait.
earlier.
Well, we should have. He's
So,
actually
Melinda, can you make sense of this garbage?
no, I was hoping it will lead somewhere. So keep going.
So
We've done for years, it never
here's my
does.
point. We're gonna wrap it up. So here's my point: is you mentioned if somebody knows what's happening 6 months from now. I believe that the goal is going to be to flatten a lot of the things that we see, take out all the excess garbage that's not being considered as part of the algorithm or whatever we're writing for the output. And that cuts down on the data needed and the energy needed to run these algorithms.
And you know who knows what's
correctly.
going to happen 6 months from now?
No.
Or 6 years? No. I read a Harlan Ellison. You remember Harlan Ellison?
Harlan Crow?
No, Harlan Ellison. Oh, Harlan Crow. He's got issues.
He
of his
probably
own.
knows. Well, he probably knows.
Right.
Because
But
he's
that's only
paid for
Clarence
it.
Thomas
6 months
knows.
happening.
Okay, but now Harlan
And
Ellison.
we got our political check mark.
Sorry, politics plays
I'm
it.
sorry.
So Harlan Ellison wrote
Has to
that
show up once.
in 60 to 6,000 years. That's a mark number.
Yeah.
Orders of magnitude.
Sure.
Everyone will be sitting around
6.8 trillion.
smoking crack, and there'll be a few people trying to run the world.
Okay.
That was what I was
We're
saying.
not there now.
We're not there now. No.
So Hunter. Okay, that
100,
doesn't-
600. You never read that Harlan Ellison?
No, I was saying Hunter Biden and other people controlling the world.
Check, please.
Hey, so
Take it to go.
here we go. We'll do it live. Screw it,
Okay.
we'll do it live.
Okay.
So here's my point:
What was your point?
is that
You
I
lost
think
me.
the biggest problem right now with AI
Do you follow him at
and
all?
generative AI
Yes.
and all of this stuff is
Just say yes.
the ultimate consumption, and we're still consuming, whether it's energy or space or data or land or otherwise. How do we simplify so that the generative AI isn't going to bankrupt us as we're going?
Lynn says there is no generative AI.
So I definitely have some thoughts on that.
Good.
Awesome.
Bring some sense
Someone
to
with
this.
some reason.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think we are putting too much stock in just generative AI. There is a lot of AI which is not generative. So let's make sure we give the right attention. I would put 50-50 at most.
Okay.
Now, what generative AI has done is that it has created that excitement.
Yeah.
It now executives knows what AI is. Everybody can just can go on ChatGPT and type something and you get.
Sure.
So it has given that advertisement. So it is generative AI is the marketing department of AI. I would say.
Got it. That's a good way to put it.
Just
That's a good
marketing
point.
something doesn't make
Big
you
boss.
sell. You got to make some product out of it first as well, right? So I am seeing what is the product? Generative AI is the marketing department. The actual product is the business value that you can get out of using machine learning and AI.
Yep.
Is- are
so
deep-
for example,
Are
so
deep-
for example,
No,
in-
Hold on,
let
let
him
him
finish.
finish.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
He's
Keep
onto
going.
something.
He's
Let him
saying
cook.
something.
We say let him cook. Let him
Yeah.
cook.
Go.
So let's say in healthcare, right? You're looking at images, right? X-ray
Yep.
and all that, and you're trying to detect diseases. Now we also have lab data, all the testing that happens in a laboratory, when a physician orders. Then there's this population data about aging, sex, prehistory. All of data could be combined into a multi-model, and now we can predict what disease a person can expect to have and have the treatment plan customized to every individual. So that's where the value is as far as the healthcare is concerned. And we can talk about similar
Hyper-personalized
values.
medicine.
Wait a minute. Are we there yet or not yet?
We are, I would say, in 5 years' time, we would be having precision medicine customized to each and every one of us. We will definitely, and if my prediction goes wrong on that one, I'll be fine with that. But one thing I'm almost certain is that we will have multi-models which will combine your X-ray data with your lab data, with your other physical parameters, and will be doing a much better job in predicting what disease you're likely to have. So you can preemptively start looking into, what are you susceptible of, and maybe
Why is this AI and not? Do you remember SPSS from the old days? Statistical package for the social sciences.
Yeah.
You remember that from college?
Yeah, we did that in our MBA program.
Right.
You make one little mistake and the whole thing doesn't work.
Different issue.
That was my experience.
What does AI bring to statistical analysis in regard to your healthcare example? That was so
Can I go
well
first?
phrased.
I
I love
think
that question.
I-
What a great question.
But I think partly it's to summarize all the billions of documents and things that are out there
No.
as an initial thing. I
That's
find
bullshit.
I heard this from a guy that's a practitioner.
I know, but Melinda
in
will
healthcare
tell you
space.
it's bullshit.
So I want to offer that up as a first. Is it possible that summarizing all the stuff to help customize a treatment
Summarize. How do you summarize things?
Because it reads everything.
It's bullshit. It's complete. How do you summarize things not knowing what the goal is? Melinda?
That's correct, bro.
I'm glad you were going, because that's exactly what is going on, right?
Bullshit.
So let's
No way.
Mark was
No
impressed.
way.
Good job,
No
Mark.
way. This is a
Are
first.
we going to edit this? Are we going to edit this out of the video, or is this
Oh, hell no.
No, we can't
don't
edit
edit
this out.
anymore.
this happened right now? So we'll get
The hand waving. You can wave your hands.
We're going to take a quick commercial break.
So,
Okay, and we're back.
We're back. What happened?
all right, are we back? Okay.
Yeah,
we're back.
So I think let's first understand the difference between statistics and AI.
Okay.
Statistics requires you innate knowledge of statistics or the data that you have.
Yeah,
And how you. So typically you come up with in a statistical model, you essentially know what that mathematical equation is hidden behind that model, right?
Yeah.
What AI does is it takes that grunt work out of that for you, and it does that model in the background, you don't even have to know what is the math behind it. It just gives you the good results. As long as you feed quality data, it will give you results.
I thought, Melinda, I thought that when you ran, is he still in the image? I hope not, by the way. Can you look? Hold on. Is he still there?
He is.
We were hoping Mark had migrated off the camera. But Melinda, I thought that you could run bunches of cross correlations with SPSS and essentially throw every variable at every other variable to find out exactly what you said. So you didn't need to know the math behind it.
Right.
So go ahead and respond to that.
All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Say that again.
There wasn't a question.
The question was, you had said that in an AI model, you don't need to know the math. And okay, that's fine. Let's say you don't need to know the math. But the end result still ends up being a correlation, does it not? Isn't AI ultimately producing correlations? So
it is.
Okay, so let's say we have a black box on the one hand and we have sort of standard statistics on the other hand, and we take the standard statistics package, Jeff's favorite SPSS, and we ask it to run as many cross correlations as it can. What's the end result? How does that end result differ from what ChatGPT is doing?
Please tell me it's a stupid question. Just please.
Isn't that what my brain does on a regular basis anyway?
No, but we're doing it across multiple variables and you can't see the correlations. Do you follow the point, which is you're saying that ChatGPT or the future AI will be marvelous because it can find correlations. I'm saying, yes, we can do that anyway using sort of standard techniques without the risk of hallucination.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So first of all, right, most statistical techniques, right, what do? They build a model, right? You have some output that you care for, and you feed some inputs, and it builds that relationship, right?
Yes.
In terms of similarity, a statistical technique and an AI does the exact same thing, so there's no difference. Okay. Now, where I think it differs is that because AI tends to be more black box, right?
Scary.
It can handle a lot more information that would be hard to process using a standard statistical tool, for example. For example, give me a statistical tool that will hear an audio voice and look at a diagram and look at some pictures and give some response. So now, as you see, some Gen AI models can give multi-model, right? I don't know if you've seen the latest.
Oh yeah, it'll build you a PowerPoint, it'll make you a video, it'll do whatever you want on the topic.
So we can't can you think of a statistical technique that will do that? I don't know.
No, but
No, it's two-dimensional, relatively speaking.
Well, why should we trust something that we can't understand? So there.
So when you start using ChatGPT, the first thing it tells you is that this you could have results that are not true, right? So you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Check your work.
Yeah, but you're talking about medical applications. So you're a surgeon. And the surgeon says to the patient, frankly, we can't tell what's wrong, but I'm going to cut your brain out because that's what ChatGPT told me to do.
So first of all, ChatGPT.
That's what happened to Mark, by the way. We have a case in point as Mark.
So ChatGPT.
He's here all week.
I think we need to resist this temptation that generative AI is AI. Okay, let's first get this out of the way, right? So when we are looking at X-rays and images, right? Now, the classical problem. Radiologists don't have so much time to spend on each and every patient, right? So what we have done now, we have created a model which can be trained on millions of images. And what it will do is now it will act as an assistant to a radiologist. So instead of the radiologist having to spend time on each and every case, the model will tell you, hey, these are edge cases. These are the ones I want you to focus on. These are very easy cases. Don't even bother. I can give you the answer. No cancer. Don't worry about it. Right?
That's like
So what this tool will do is it will be able to make the radiologist more effective and efficient.
Well, either that or
it's the same or better than he currently
but then we're going to just read about him. We're going to read about the radiologist walking out in the middle of the procedure and getting coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
No, but I think if you take it out of the medical realm, because I have experience in this with my work life. We will use machine learning and visual inspection. I do.
Do they pay you?
Quite well. Visual inspection to go look at
Dear IBM, pay him less.
to look at anomalies for paint on a car or something aligned, and it does exactly what Melinda says, which is it's going to look at 500 cars, and the 501st car, it's going to kick it to the side and say there's an anomaly. You might want to take a look at it.
And it's not saying it's good or bad. It's saying, hey, here's an outlier. Let's take a look. That's it.
But it's sorting through a whole bunch of crap It's storing the ones that are known good, ones that are known bad, and it says here's the list that somebody else should check.
Yeah, and
That's all it is. It's probably the same thing in the
What
medical
is the
world
myth-
and everything
Go ahead,
else.
Jeff's got a serious question.
well, no, I like digging into the investment portfolio and pulling out Deep Look and saying, is this an example of what you're talking about, right? So Deep Look is designed to use
He's pitching a company.
pixel differentiation, right, to look at and see, is there something there that the doctor can't see currently, but spends 6 hours in the dark looking for, that they just can't see it. They can't see it. They're blind to it. It's like looking for a different spectrum of light that we're not able to see. But it sees it, it labels it, and it says, that's a problem area. Now tell the doctor, I just saved you an hour of your time. Now go talk to your patient about this problem area. That's what it's doing.
I have a different question. Let me chip.
So let me give an example very similar to what you just said, Jeff, right? Highway hypnosis, right? When we are driving, right, and we are going on the same road, at some point we become insensitive to what we are seeing because we are seeing the same image over and over, right?
Yep.
And that's when actually an accident could occur because you lost that sensitivity. Imagine the same thing happening with the radio. They're seeing images after images after images. At some point, they're going to wear out, and in fact, they are burning out.
Sure.
But wouldn't it be nice if you could tell, don't worry about these images, focus on this images, and even better, focus on this area of the image. That's where I feel the problem is.
Yep.
Now you are making a better utilization of your limited radiologists that we have available. I think that's the way to put it.
Amen.
Okay.
And when you match that with some unmet need, in this case, the shortage of radiologists and the long hours and the time in the dark and all of a sudden burnout and blah, 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 we're solving problems with AI in a very specific way. And that's, I think, where the future is going to go, where we're learning now about what it can potentially do, and then eventually it's going to be used to help us find these unmet needs and solve
Okay,
them.
so I have a comment on that. Dan has some words of wisdom for us.
I was just gonna say at this point it's more like an assistant than a director, because the majority of this time we were talking about,
Co-pilot.
yeah,
Co-pilot.
exactly. Oh god,
Right.
co-pilot.
Except
Yeah,
for
co-pilot.
a friend of mine at the gym told me about a company, I won't name it now,
Okay.
that does a defense-oriented AI, and it's literally piloting drones, piloting, targeting, firing weaponry.
Yeah, that's a
terrifying.
problem, right?
That's
And
terrifying.
in those cases, the operators or the individuals that the AI is assisting
Right.
have between 1 and 2 seconds to yay or nay those targets.
Yeah.
And sometimes no time is given to those operators, right?
Yeah.
So, in certain circumstances, and I think we're talking about the same theater.
It's just warfighting. It's
Yeah.
drones firing at people and things.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's the scariest part.
That's what people are mostly scared. Less so about the, I think the medical example, because I think, Melinda's.
Terminator is here, and it's got wings and
Melinda's going to
wheels.
say something intelligent.
Okay.
Yeah, let's stay with this one, right? So I actually am worried
Let's be better.
about these drones targeting individuals, right?
Yep.
From a different standpoint, I have problems with the technology, I have problem with the application,
Yep.
but I have a bigger problem with misuse, right?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is happening is these edge cases. By the way, deep fakes obviously is common, but
Sure.
drone technology is not as common, thank God. What I'm worried about is this negative effects is giving a bad rep to a very good technology,
Sure.
right? Now, what is happening is because of this bad, what is regulation, FDA or FAA, or what are these guys going to do, right? These are bureaucratic organizations.
Sure.
As soon as somebody talks to us, they're just going to put so much obligation on the designer that we'll actually lose the real benefit of AI,
Yep.
and then we'll be dealing with these edge cases that will never happen. Let's not worry about Skynet. That's not going to happen. That is really not the risk.
Oh,
Really?
damn.
The risk is the risk is actually deepfakes. That I worry.
Yeah.
But the value that it will provide in healthcare, in finance, in retail, in art, in science is like orders of magnitude better than the risk.
I agree. I'm still investing in an invisibility cloak because
Okay.
they make those now too,
So
where
we're-
you can have a drone flying by you and you can have essentially a green screen that shields you from it being able to see you as a target.
Okay, another question. So
Sure.
we have the infamous thing. You didn't catch on to this last time, but in our last podcast I think it was with Bill Gates. We talked about all the rusty cars along the road.
Oh yeah.
Well, now you say you know it. You didn't know. Oh, you remember?
You talked about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is another.
Bill wasn't a fan.
Name the Greek mythology. It must have been Greek where everybody saw in some like mountain or this thing, whatever they wanted to see that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Is that
Emperor's
AI?
New Clothes or?
Myth of Sisyphus?
Yeah, exactly. Sisyphus. So to what extent are we all looking at AI as, I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Whatever it is, none of us really know, but right now we have ChatGPT.
We're just like, oh yeah, I see it.
And we have machine learning, which the ML subcategory, which I tend to think of as more industrial. It's obviously not only industrial, but smaller data sets. That seems useful. But then the big ChatGPT and generative AI seems a lot of garbage, and you're correct to say it's bringing money, it's bringing investment dollars in, and it's bringing excitement in. But to what extent are people then saying, oh, I am sure this wonderful thing will solve all my problems next year?
It's just another tool. It's just another tool.
No, but I'm just wondering whether...
So can I say something, right? So when the calculator was invented, did we have so much hype? Did we worry that, this is all the accountants are going to go?
We did? No.
In fact, now...
In fact,
the accountants can go run much faster scans with the calculator because they would take time to fudge the numbers on the paper. Now they can fudge the numbers faster, right? The same thing when the horse carriage was replaced with an automobile. Did people lose jobs? No. What has happened is we have transformed those jobs to something different.
Right.
So to me, AI is just a tool. I don't know what's a big deal about it.
I agree.
Stop getting so worked up, David.
No. I'm with you. When the calculator came out, I think I was in high school, or it was a little before that. Middle school. But I don't remember all this hype over the calculator. It was a useful tool, and that was the end of it. I feel like AI, ChatGPT in particular, is generating much more excitement than it deserves. And then in the end, we need to sort of sit back.
It's the shiny object of this calendar year.
Maybe. Our teachers always said we wouldn't always have a calculator in our pocket, though.
Hold on. So there is a lot. So there is two things, right? One is the risk and the reward, right? The reward from AI is tremendous. There is no question. We can talk for hours on that. The risk is also there. But you know what the biggest risk was in the human history? Is the invention of the fire or the invention of the wheel. Because how many car accidents do we see? Now, should we have stopped the wheel from being designed?
Probably.
Should we have stopped the fire from being invented because of the risk of fire hazard?
Yeah.
So the way I'm pushing it is just like fire and a wheel, AI is just another tool that we have just evolved over time, and we're just coming up with smarter tools.
Yeah, but I think this tool can actually take us out. I mean, that's my point. Is that once it's smart enough and it's seen enough.
You could say the same thing about the fire. The fire could take you out too.
The fire will take you out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't have a mind. We don't have intelligent fire yet, though. I don't know.
The speed of propagation is faster with AI.
So first of all, how many people die in a fire every year? Do we know? I'm sure thousands.
A lot.
How many people die in a car accidents every year?
Even more.
I'm sure.
Thousands, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So to me is.
You didn't mention Boeing.
There is this.
No.
I think. Look, I grew up watching Terminator movies. I watched them like five. I can watch the same episode like 5 times.
Yeah.
But let's not get carried away into this is going to take over the world.
And I think that's fair. Like I don't want to be a fearmonger. I went to a trade show last year. It was the robotics side of Device Talks, and I ran into a former client, and he was there at what was he at? What's the was it Dassault Systems?
Oh yeah.
Right. Boston Robotics, and they were showing off their robot dogs, and everybody was around, and it's like, oh, that's cute. Look at it rolled over, and look at it did this, did that, and then last week I see one with a flamethrower. So I think there's a problem when these things are then being weaponized and set on populations.
Well, you won't feel that way. And I feel that way if those dogs end up moving Putin out of Crimea.
I would feel better about it if they were put to good use. Yeah,
well, that's
absolutely.
But some of the makers have mandated, like Boston Dynamics, you cannot use it for military applications.
Sure. Understood.
Good.
And that's what he told me. I was like, these are going to be turned on us someday. He's like, no, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. And I was like, I'm watching this in real time. They're deploying them in Los Angeles now, like literally deployed in Los Angeles, and these things shoot bullets, right? They're not harmless spots.
Are they helping protect some of the population that wouldn't get enough police protection anyway?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So Jeff, to answer your question, right?
Yeah.
The problem here is not a technology. The problem here is a person who's going to misuse that technology.
Absolutely.
So to me, giving this robot with a flamethrower and a blazing gun is irresponsible human that is doing that. You're blaming the robot for that insecurity, right? That robot could be used to uncover landmines, but they could be in coal mines digging coal and natural resources.
And I think, I think Einstein and Oppenheimer would have said the same thing. You know, I had this thought process and it led to this invention, and now I have become deaf. I mean, we don't have morals as a group to limit those uses, or somehow build in a kill switch so that if this thing turns on a human, it's not able to execute, right? So I think we're putting too much faith in humanity.
So Jeff, I'm really glad we are actually going in this direction on this discussion, because this is very pertinent, right? You mentioned Oppenheimer, right? There is positive uses of technology and negative. There's always going to be there. I think the key question is, are we as humans smart enough to use a very complex tool?
No.
And the
answer is no.
No, we know the answer is
150,000% no.
It's always gone wrong
if
somewhere.
If the answer is no, then to me, our
ethical obligations.
Go ahead. What do you
then
want?
our doom is imminent. There's no question.
Well, wait a minute. So, Malin, you're telling me that you think humans are smart enough? What about bump stocks and everything else? What about the use of automatic machine guns that are available to the general public?
Yeah.
So we know that humans are.
Actually, I'm agreeing with you. Maybe you misunderstood. I'm agreeing with you. Many of us are not smart. Many of us are not. What I'm hoping.
Hold on. Let me say what it's called.
That's fair.
What I'm hoping is that people who create those Oppenheimers of the AI world, right? What I'm hoping is that they'll put enough checks and balances so that this can go. This will not.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that, and hope is not a plan.
Yeah.
Hope is not a plan.
I'm even more nervous than I was before.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I have a serious question.
This is a great line of conversation.
This is even more important.
Okay.
Do you like the Transformers? If you like the what do you call Skynet and all that?
The Autobots?
The Autobots. Do you like
the Decepticons?
All of them. Do you like the Transformers? Those movies?
Okay. It is interesting you mentioned the word transformer. Okay, so
he's going to try to make it serious.
I love it.
Oh,
no, seriously. So, as an electrical engineer, transformer meant something to me, right? It's you convert one voltage to another using magnetic energy, right? That's what I learned as a transformer. Now, it turns out, watching the transformer robots, Bumblebee, right? And Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Do you know that the deep learning architecture on which generative AI is based on, it's called a transformer architecture. Do you know that?
Yes, I do know that.
When you say transformer, I thought that's what you were referring to, but no, actually you are referring to Bumblebee.
No, so how do you like those movies? Do you like them?
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? Yeah.
So
okay,
all right.
Should we wrap this?
So how close on the doomsday clock are we to midnight?
Oh, we're
past.
We're just pushing it. We're
It's a new day. It's a new day, then.
Yeah.
Right? We made it to a new
we're
day.
staying on the pavement already, but that's not the point.
So here's another question. So the next president of the world, Elon Musk, says we're living in a simulation. And we've already reached singularity, and that what we're experiencing now is a simulation.
So your first mistake is listening to Elon.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious.
You guys do.
But I watch these Cybertrucks drive down the road, and I watch Tesla rockets take off, or SpaceX rockets, or Tesla cars driving by in every direction now. This guy is given a lot of grace, I guess.
Grace.
In terms of
he's given a lot of space, yes.
Yeah, a lot of space, a lot of grace by our population that's already decided that Elon does more good than harm, and therefore everything that he does is in the category of good. He controls our satellites and everything else. And this individual believes, no, he doesn't. But generally, we've come to accept that. Well, he's for the greater good. He's trying to invent new stuff.
See, I would think this is a different podcast.
But this individual believes.
I'm rolling my eyes.
That we live in a simulation.
We can see.
That's like his belief
What's
system.
your point?
I don't know. Do we live in a simulation, Milan?
No.
So I would make one quick point here, right? So I don't know if since you love listening to Elon Musk.
No, I don't. That's my point.
He does.
I was being facetious. He's a super villain.
$6,000 toilet.
No, he's a super villain.
Playing.
Elon Musk had nothing to do with the veil.
Yeah, he does.
But anyway, so he is mentioned there's something called period of abundance. Have you heard about that? So what? Again, I'm just simply quoting him. What he's saying is there will be a point in time where most machines will be able to do our day-to-day mundane tasks.
Yep.
Right. As a result, humanity will flourish. We'll all have food on the table. Robots will be doing the farming. They'll be doing the
That's
mining.
Harlan Ellison.
Imagine.
That's Harlan Ellison.
I know.
That's also Ray Kurzweil.
That's who he's reading.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just going to make us
So what
lazy
he's
about
saying
it.
is that period will be called age of abundance, where we'll work if we want to, but if not, maybe we can just do painting, we can read, we can do leisure.
They'll get stoned. Everyone will be stoned.
Who's not stoned today?
Oh.
Wow, the rates
I
are
was
just going
wondering.
up.
Keep going.
But this age of abundance, I don't think that's going to happen the way he describes it.
No.
But I like the idea. I like the idea of not having to do mundane tasks. I like the idea of looking outside my window and appreciating the trees and the nature and the plants and the forest.
What
I
are you
like that.
smoking?
So there was a movie that came out in 2000. It was called Idiocracy.
Oh no.
And I believe that we're much. I think we're much.
You can only pitch that movie in one episode.
Oh, we did it in the last one too.
Yeah,
I'm
you've
sorry.
exceeded your quota.
Oh,
man.
all right. Well, I can't mention.
We
that.
already
There was
talked
a different
about that.
example.
That was when we interviewed Elon Musk.
I thought that was the Bill Gates
It's
episode.
the same movie.
But my point is this age of abundance and this euphoric future state that we're all looking towards is like, oh, it'll be better in the future because of technology. I don't buy that.
I think we're going to be dead long before that.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to be sticks and stones pretty soon.
Can we have Ben wrap this up for us?
Ben, summarize what you learned today.
Summarize this whole
Hold
thing.
on, Milan has one last point.
Yeah, go for it.
Jeff, I just realized something.
Shoot.
I was watching a YouTube video and they defined a term, something called, just like you have escape velocity for on Earth, right? You have to go with a certain thrust, otherwise you cannot escape
That's right.
Earth's gravitational force, right?
Yep.
Pull. So there is something
Which is like 26,000 miles an hour or something.
life. So there is another term that somebody coined. I wish I could. It's not coming back. But what they're saying is, we are aging at a certain rate, right? Meaning every day we age by 1 day,
Yep.
right? Every day we age by 1 day. Now, at some point we're going to die, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, our healthcare and precision medicine and all that are also growing very rapidly because of AI.
Sure.
So what they're saying is, imagine that these are two graphs where we are aging at a certain rate,
Yep.
right? And the technology is going at a certain rate.
Yep.
Okay. When they intersect, you know what is going to happen? We will be able to stay stagnant at that age, meaning we will not age.
Yeah, that was like a 2006 Justin Timberlake movie called Just in Time, I believe it was called. Just in Time. Yeah, Just in Time. It's a good movie. But basically, the premise is at the age of 26,
Justin
you stop
Timberlake,
aging.
yeah.
You stop aging. And if you can afford to, you can buy in more credits to continue to live. And you can live to be 400, 800, 900. You're immortal.
This is my point.
Because
about the
healthcare
whole
fixes it
AI
all.
discussion with everybody. It's like it's not a Rorschach test. Everybody sees what they want to see in it.
Possibly.
It's magic.
Well, I think that's how any innovation happens, right?
Yeah.
We become what we think about, right? That man becomes what he thinks about. And if we can imagine it, if we can imagine riding on a light beam like Einstein did, then we can imagine in theory, what the speed of light is.
Melinda, can we have Ben wrap this up?
All right, Ben.
All right, there's
you're gonna
one.
summarize.
There's one last point.
Was there any-
There's one last point.
Were there any coherent points?
Well, yeah, one last
All
one.
right,
as we
okay,
wrap
go
this
ahead.
up.
Sum it up.
So, I mean, one thing I want to talk about is because when you were talking about
This will never end.
never end, no.
We're good. We got 7 minutes.
You mentioned, it would take out all the mundane tasks that we'd have to do all the time. We already have a bunch of things that are sucking up our time in the first place. So,
Podcasts.
I mean, to
Podcasts,
say that,
mainly.
yeah, that too, but to say that we would actually use that time for anything better than just sitting
That's
around on our
different.
phone all day,
Yeah.
that's hoping.
That's why
too much
TikTok was
hope.
invented, was to suck the productivity out of everything.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean,
And
that's
Facebook.
That's actually partially why I think
That
that.
demo.
Okay, can you summarize in
what'd you
one
learn today?
paragraph?
What I
What
learned
did
today?
anybody with a half a brain cell learn?
What
in
you
this
learn is don't
podcast?
get in a room with 3 angry old men.
AI is terrifying. There's a lot of money involved, and it's worse than Bitcoin at this point.
Bitcoin's done.
Okay, Melinda, any thoughts before we wrap it? Call it a wrap?
So first, it was a pleasure chatting with you guys. It's a
Was it though?
Blabbing. We blab.
Be honest.
Was it?
So one thing I do want to end with a note that I think there are more positives than negatives in this area of AI research. I tend to be an optimistic person, and I think there are more good people than bad people on earth. So I believe good sense will prevail, and I'm really optimistic that we'll get more business value, our healthcare will improve. The risks can and will be mitigated is where I currently stand.
I think the negative.
Information.
Yeah.
Yes, what you
If I
thought?
get information, I'm open to changing my opinion, but my current position is that this will be a favorable future.
The negative is so potentially negative, and the number of people who need to be bad to take advantage of it is so high, and the likelihood of what you're saying happening in terms of keeping that from happening is fairly low.
We're gonna
Let's all keep our fingers crossed.
We're gonna change Dave's diaper, but I will thank you, Melinda, for joining us today, and we appreciate you sharing your expertise. Awesome.